Hey, dreamers, welcome back to your Dream Coach podcast, where we talk about what it really takes to build a business, a mission, and a life that you love from the inside out through leadership, fulfillment, and growth. I'm your host, Shayla Wey, and today's episode might be one of my favorite topics to date because we're flipping the script on what success should look like and talking about why joy is not just a byproduct of success. It's a business strategy. Now, I know that sounds soft, right? Joy, a strategy. But stay with me because what I have found in my own journey and with small business owners I coach is this. Joy is the fuel, the magnet, and the differentiator in a business that truly lasts. So this isn't about fake positivity. It's about designing your business around the things that actually make it worth building. And when you do, you grow faster, lead better, and you attract the right people with a whole lot more ease. So let's dive into it. I want to start here, and I want to start with joy is what fuels sustainable motivation. People ask me all the time, how are you always motivated? And the key is I'm not. But what I've learned is that joy is a better long-term motivator than pressure, fear, or even money. I've built businesses from both places, pushing from stress and pulling from joy. And let me tell you, what I found is that when you're motivated by joy, you keep showing up without burning out. Joy is what connects you to your purpose. It brings energy to the work you do, and it makes the process feel worthwhile, not just the result. Early on in my career, I defined my definition of success. And my definition, and it still stands true to this day, is how do I spin all of the plates in my life that are important to me at different chapters while enjoying the journey? Because when joy is in the driver's seat, grit comes naturally. And you want to keep going, not because you have to, but because you want to. And joy is going to allow you to attract the right people. Something that I've learned time and time again is your energy sells before your offer ever will. And nothing is more magnetic than genuine joy. It's what makes your content engaging. It's what makes your clients want to stick around. And it's what draws in the right team members and collaborators. And so what I have found is that when I'm lit up by my work, people feel it and they want to be a part of it. When I'm drained or disconnected, they feel that too. And I see this exact same philosophy happen in my coaching clients as well, is that when their business is at its best is when they're excited, they have joy, things are exciting outside of their business. And when they're a little burnt out and not really that connected, their business can kind of hit some bumps in the road. Now, joy isn't fluffy. It's part of your brand. It's part of your leadership. And it's really part of what sets you apart. I did a coaching call recently with an organization where we dove into this. It's a law firm I work with, and they've tripled their business since I started coaching with them about 7-8 months ago. And one of the biggest things that we're working through now is how do we set your business, your law firm apart from other law firms out there? What's going to make it attractive for other lawyers to want to be a part of this team? And this is a big part of our conversation of what we're working through and strategizing on is how do we take something that can be, a 9-to-5, pretty mundane career to something that creates a lot of joy. And it's been exciting to see some of the things that have come up just from really being aware of this concept. Now, joy creates that creativity because that those times when the ideas are flowing and you feel inspired, aligned, unstoppable. That's not just good luck. That's joy-based productivity. And so what I found is that creativity thrives in joy, but it shuts down in stress. And so when we get stuck in survival mode and we're just reacting, hustling, grinding, your brain literally has less space to innovate. But when you're in joy and when you're doing what lights you up, when your days feel good, everything opens up. So if we want to have better content, we want to have more innovative ideas, we really need to prioritize joy. And I know that as humans, we are naturally going to have days where we have more energy than others, and that's just a fact. But when you have those intentional times in your day or in your week where you've created space to pour into yourself, that's where a lot of that motivation and joy is going to be able to continue to be built upon. So prioritize that, put that in the schedule. Joy also allows us to deepen that client impact. So when we talk about your client experience, and this applies really for every industry, is when you are coming from a place where you're creating or you're serving from joy, you're leading from joy, you're managing from joy, the quality of your work skyrockets. And what I found is that when I'm excited about what I'm delivering, my clients feel more seen, supported, and energized. And joy is contagious. And so it shifts the way we speak, it shifts the way we solve problems, and it makes every touch point feel more intentional and more impactful. Happy founders create better results for everybody. And joy also acts as a retention tool. So if you lead a team or you work with recurring clients, listen up. People don't just stay because of systems or deliverables. They stay because how it feels to be a part of your world. My executive assistant has been with me for 7 years. My executive assistant started when she was just graduating high school. She worked with me all throughout her college university degree. She's now working a full-time career, has moved in with her partner, and is still working with me. And there's a lot of people that will feel like they've just outgrown this role. My executive assistant is far above working, as my right-hand person, but I really do feel the joy, the energy, the vision of what we're creating has been a big part of retention, because I found that a joyful work culture where people feel appreciated, they feel connected, they feel celebrated, leads to higher retention. And so your team wants to feel good at work. Your clients want to feel good in your programs. Joy just isn't the vibe, it's a retention strategy. People come for the offer, but they stay for the energy, right? My executive assistant doesn't need to work with me a few hours a week. But because of what we're building, the energy, the excitement, the way that we're connected, the way I appreciate her, she continues to help me grow at every level. And I appreciate her because I couldn't do what I do without her. And joy is also going to allow us to build resilience, because business isn't always smooth. I talk about this all the time on coaching calls. When people bring challenges or they bring frustrations, is I remind them, and this is what happens, right? This is exactly what happens in business, is that business is never going to be a straight line. Success is never a straight line. The best business owners, the best leaders are the ones that are able to navigate the challenges and the change, because there are hard months, launches that flop, clients that ghost, moments where you question everything. Because if it was easy, everybody would do it. And what I found is that joy helps you bounce back faster, because joy gives us perspective, and it reminds us of why we started in the first place. I always bring that into coaching calls. What is it that you really, really want? Most of us don't want to wake up and go to the same job, just do the same job. We're usually doing that job because it's a vehicle for something bigger. And if we don't have that, let's take some time to think about, what is this job providing you as a vehicle? Because there's always abundance when we look for it. There's always ways to feel grateful. And there's always ways to take our joy to the next level when we're mindful of creating it. It also is going to reconnect you to the parts of the process that you love. So even when the outcome isn't what you expected, when you have joy built into your business, one hard day doesn't take you out. It just grounds you, right? Joy is going to make growth feel like expansion, not pressure. So let's be real. Scaling a business brings more of everything, more responsibility, more complexity, more eyes on you. And so without joy, growth can start to feel heavy. And so what I have found is that when I scale from joy and I help clients and businesses scale from, why are we doing what we're doing? And how do we bring joy into something that we're spending a lot of our days and hours doing? Because when the next steps feel aligned and exciting, it doesn't feel like pressure. It feels like expansion. So I've started to ask questions. Does this still feel good? Am I growing toward what I actually want? And where can I bring more joy back into the season? You don't have to sacrifice joy to grow. In fact, if you do, you're going to sabotage your growth because that excitement definitely wears off. If you're familiar with the emotional cycle of change, is everything when it's new, it's like the new shiny car. It's exciting. You can't wait to get into that new car. It smells new, it looks new, it feels new. And eventually that car and that excitement and that energy towards that does drift off and it goes down. And so our job, our responsibility is to make sure that we have joy in our everyday life, in our businesses and outside of our businesses. Because joy is the ultimate CEO skill. And I want to reframe this because joy isn't a luxury. Joy is leadership. Because when you lead from joy, you're going to make better decisions. You're going to pour into people and get off self and on purpose. You're going to model emotional wellness and you're going to build a business people want to be a part of. Because what I have learned is that joy is not the reward for building a successful business. It's the foundation for it. And when you start to prioritize joy, you protect your energy, your impact, and your sustainability. And so, dreamers, I want to recap these lessons because I found that joy is an actual business strategy. Joy is going to fuel sustainable motivation. Joy attracts the right people. Joy drives creativity. Joy deepens your client impact. Joy increases retention. It builds resilience. It makes growth feel like expansion. And joy is a leadership skill. A lot of coaching clients, I'll challenge them to look at their leader or their manager, or I'll challenge the leader, or the manager, or the CEO of their own business and say, the people that are working for you, do you think that they are inspired by the life you're living? Because if the answer is no, they're never going to want to move up in the business if you're not living a life that they model and they're inspired by. And so I want you to audit your business. And whether you're a leader or a manager or an employee, we can still think like this: is where am I prioritizing productivity over joy? And then what's one simple way that I can bring joy back into my business this week? So whether that's reconnecting with your favorite client, simplifying your schedule, or just even remembering why you started, choose joy on purpose. DM me on Instagram at Shayla Wey Coaching and tell me, what are you doing this week to bring back joy into your business? I would love to celebrate that with you. And if this episode shifted your perspective, share it with a fellow entrepreneur who needs the reminder. Don't forget to subscribe and leave a review because it helps this show reach more dreamers just like you. Lead with purpose, lead with joy, and keep growing into the person your dream life requires. I will see you next time on your Dream Coach podcast.